VoyMonk vlog number 68. In this vlog, I wanted to touch upon, I would say, probably one of the final pillars of the direction I wanted to take this week in terms of my vlogs and what I wanted to share as far as my life and perspective and the time that I'm taking being present, asking better questions, seeking better answers. And that is knowledge. Now, I've spoken about this, and I'll probably will again, all of these things in some form or fashion, because this is what these vlogs are. It's about me not only sharing my life, my perspective, my passions, things that I've shared about what this channel is about. Knowledge, I think knowledge is a very tricky thing, because I think for the most part in this life, at least from my perspective, is that I don't know most things. And as I've looked around and I've seen others and I've seen what's come and what's gone, I don't think most people know anything, or I should say not anything, most things as well. And I said anything because I guess it depends on who we might be talking about. That's not a slight, it's just, I think it's a truth. But I think knowledge has to start from at least understanding and appreciating that perspective that I think none of us, at least for myself and what I've learned, know most things. That being said, I don't think that means we don't know anything. And I also think when it's prudent and practical, that what we don't know, I don't think it's ever wise to fill with the things that we guess. I don't think it's good to make things up, at least as it relates to other people's perspectives and sharing and being in the presence of now and the experience of the time that we all share. I guess, unless you, as I mentioned in my last vlog, have that main character syndrome. I try to keep away from that kind of thing, which is precisely why I don't preach, I don't teach. This isn't about me sharing my perspectives of life and telling anyone what to think, nor is it about philosophy or anything like that. It's just living life. And I don't know so many things. But the presumption or the reality of that isn't that I make it up. It's at least not in every single instance. But I think it also requires a sobering mind to understand that sometimes it's not always important what I know or what I don't. I mean, obviously there are times that it does matter, and there are other times that maybe it doesn't. But I think in the pursuit of knowledge, I think it's also important that when we ask questions, when we're trying to use our time as wisely as possible, and I'm speaking for myself alone, that the perceptions that we have are understood, and that knowledge, for want of a better way of describing it, can always change. Life changes. And sometimes we can just simply be wrong. Despite our efforts, despite our intentions, which I think is probably one of the other pillars, and I'll probably mention that tomorrow for Friday. But I think it's very important to understand that because, just I think about all the things that I've ever been wrong about, and it's been most of the time versus the few times that I've always been right. And there's been times, I think, like most, that I've been right when I really wish I had been wrong. But nevertheless, being specific about this week, I think being the presence of mind, I think it's important to understand that knowledge, I think knowledge can be power. But I think in its pursuit, or the lack thereof, or the want for something, has to be all of those elements that I've mentioned this week. And I think that when looking at it, as far as asking better questions, understanding the time and what is important with those that are around as far as in the here and now, and the perception. Knowledge, it changes. And I think rather than focusing on everything and most things that at least I don't know, I focus on the things that I know most, or I've learned, or I understand best. And to me, I think that isn't necessarily about it just being easier. But I think at this point in my life, there's very few things that I'm sure of. The one thing that I'm not unsure of is that what's most important is the here and now, being present, because you don't get the time back once it's spent. And this is a little bit longer vlog. But until tomorrow and next vlog, take care.